It was May 31st, 2015, and I was shooting pool with a good friend of mine's husband, and I left around 11 o'clock at night, and I have no idea what happened. I was totally sober, but something caused me to wreck my bike, and when I wrecked the bike, I lost 3 pints of blood, and the bike was laying on top of me, and they assumed I was dead on the scene. They told my parents I was dead and they couldn't see me because I was dead. They said there was no way I was still alive. They had me in the back of an ambulance, took me to the Grove City Airport, and had me life-flighted to Pittsburgh.
They did scans on his body to see what all was going on, and they found that his brain was drastically swollen. They had to remove the entire left side of his skull to relieve the pressure. When they were doing that, he was bleeding tremendously from his brain. They had to use surgical superglue to seal all the bleeding. And when they were doing that, they also found that the sinus cavity in the front of his skull was completely shattered, and those bones all had to be removed as well. The doctors would come in the morning, and my mother would say, "Is Frank going to die today?" And the doctor would say, "I don't think he's going to die today. That's the best we can tell you."
They told my family that I needed to be found into a nursing home because if I ever did wake up, I was never going to walk again. I was never going to have a functioning brain again, and I was going to be full of anger and rage. So they wanted me in a nursing home, and my dad and mom refused. They said, "No, he's our boy, he's coming home with us." Well, the first month and a half I have no recollection of. I had friends coming to visit me, my family coming to visit me. I have no recollection of even being there. One day in mid-October, my brother Randy came in, and when he did come in, I was laying in a hospital bed in my parents' living room, and I said, "What am I doing here?" And he said, "Just calm down, Frank." And I said, "Randy, it's not funny. What am I doing here?" And he said, "You had a motorcycle accident." And I started crying. I said, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Where's Dad and Mom?"
So after Frank started to wake up, I started showing him pictures of what he looked like laying in the hospital bed with part of his skull removed and machines and tubes hooked up to him.
Not being able to walk, in a coma, I couldn't believe it. I had no idea. I had no idea. I do remember coming here. I was back to normal when I started coming here, but I could barely move. I couldn't walk without a stick. I couldn't function on my own. But Trent, who's an absolute savior from God in my life, got me to where I am now, where I can lift, I can walk, I can ride bike, I can use the elliptical. It's amazing, totally amazing. They can't believe it. They told me I'd never be able to function mentally again. They told me I would not be alive. When I go and see the doctors for the second visits, they're just blown away that I'm alive. Blown away, they can't even believe it. They tried to give me tests to test my mentality and ability to function. They can't believe it, they're blown away by it. Then he had me walking down the hallway, turning my head, walking down the hall with a band between my feet, working out on the bicycle, on the squat machine, and it just grew and grew. And a couple weeks later he said, "There's nothing else I can do for you, you're amazing, you're so much better." He says, "Time to quit therapy and you just go to the gym." So I started coming to the gym every day. It's awesome, it's awesome.
He's almost as good as new. If you didn't know he was in an accident, you wouldn't know he was in an accident, is what I like to say. It truly is a miracle that he is where he is.
Come on, I don't see any sweat.
It's sweating, trust me.